Greetings, fellow detectives. Wizard Kitten here, bringing you my review of the 21st mystery in the Nancy Drew series, Warnings at Waverly Academy. As usual, my reviews are based on 5 separate categories. We have plot, characters, setting and design, entertainment and gameplay value, and music and vibe. Each of those categories is scored on a scale of 1 to 10 for a final possible score out of 50, and then each game receives a final letter grade based on that score as well. So without further ado, let's get into the plot of Warnings at Waverly Academy. So in this mystery, Nancy is contacted by the headmistress of a upscale boarding school in upstate New York. And lately at this boarding school, Waverly Academy, there has been a series of accidents that have really been plaguing some of the students. And the headmistress is very upset by this and obviously wants these problems to be solved as quickly as possible. So she asks Nancy to go undercover as a student named Becca Sawyer, to kind of infiltrate the school and see if she can figure out who is behind all of these mysterious accidents and why they are happening. Nancy goes undercover because she says in the introduction that since she's going to a boarding school with teenagers, that they're much more likely to look her up online, which I think is probably true and kind of funny. Although she probably should go undercover in more mysteries for that very reason. But anyway, Nancy gets to Waverly Academy and she finds out that all of the students that have been getting into these accidents have also been getting these threatening notes from somebody calling themselves the Black Cat. So these notes precedes the accidents, and it's up to Nancy to figure out who is sending these notes, why they're trying to get rid of students, because a lot of these students have had accidents that have forced them to go home. One of them was claustrophobic and was locked in a dark closet overnight. One of them had a very serious allergic reaction and had to be sent home. So there's some pretty sketchy stuff going on, some pretty serious stuff. The plot is really, I think, very well done. And the fact that you can take such a simple plot as mysterious accidents and make it turn into something that is so beautifully woven and really fits into so many different beautiful plot elements, I think is really exciting. Beyond just that main plot of discovering who the Black Cat is, there's also a great historical subplot that deals with Edgar Allan Poe, the famous writer known for a lot of his kind of mysteries and gothic stories and very creepy kind of writing. So we explore Edgar Allan Poe in this mystery as well, and there's also lots of great mini subplots just with all of the students that Nancy interacts with. There's always some sort of drama going on in an all-girls boarding school. All of the students that Nancy interacts with are all seniors and they're all valedictorian candidates. So they're all very driven, they're all very competitive, and so of course there's going to be drama, especially at an all-girls boarding school. So you have all of these mini drama episodes with each of these students, but the fun thing is that you get to follow up on all of those mini subplots. They aren't just left hanging. Nancy actually gets to investigate each of these subplots and go around and question people about them, and sometimes she even finds answers to some of this drama, which is actually really kind of fun. So she's solving all these mini mysteries along the way, plus she has this mystery of the Black Cat that's just perfectly matched up with the story of Edgar Allan Poe and what on earth that might have to do with the Black Cat that's happening in the present. It's all meshed together very, very well. There's also an amazing plot twist in this mystery that happens with one of the characters, and it's something that I never saw coming the first time I played this game, and even when I watched the game over, or play the game over again, I know the plot twist is going to happen, but the things that lead up to this plot twist are so subtle that most people would never get it. So when you finally see this plot twist happen, it's so very exciting, but it makes so much sense. I think the plot really does a really great job of going full circle. Things are not left behind that are extremely important, and there's lots of really fun elements that happen along the way that make this one of the most interesting plots I feel in the entire Nancy Drew series. So I give the plot for Warnings at Waverly Academy a solid 10 out of 10. Next, let's move on to characters. This is a fairly large set of characters, and it's an all-girl cast, and all of the characters are the same age, which is kind of unique in the series. So we have Corrine Myers, who is Nancy's roommate at Waverly Academy. She's kind of very driven. She really wants to be valedictorian. She's very smart, but she's also kind of insecure, and you can really tell that when you're interacting with her. There is Mel Corbliss, who kind of goes along with the goth trope in a way, but she's also extremely smart. She's very creative. She's got this really fun, dry, sarcastic wit and humor, and she's not afraid to be herself. Unlike Corrine, she's a lot more confident in herself, and that makes her a really cool character. We have Izzy Romero, also very confident in herself, but to the point of almost arrogance. She's kind of that, she's student body president, and she is all about school spirit, and very type A. She's a great leader, but she also gets to the point where she can be a little bit kind of that popular girl trope, where she can be a little bit kind of mean sometimes. We have Leela Yadav, who goes along kind of with the jock trope of school, but she's also very smart. She's the valedictorian candidate in addition to being extremely good at sports, and as Izzy puts it, savior of Waverly's athletic program. So we have Leela as well, and then we have Rachel Hubbard, who is very quiet, very shy, very nervous, and a little bit off at times, but she's also a valedictorian candidate, and Nancy helps Rachel out a little bit with some of her homework. So that is the cast of characters. What I love about the cast of characters is that each one of them kind of falls into a trope of high school student. They each have elements of those tropes that makes them feel extremely relatable, because let's face it, cliques do exist in high school, and they do often shape one's high school experience based on which friends you hang out with, which groups you like to hang out with, the kinds of people that you identify with. So the fact that they have representatives of each of those tropes, I think, makes the game feel especially relatable. But I also love that they are not simply stereotypical in the fact that they represent those tropes. They actually do have quite a bit of character depth. One example is Corrine. When you're talking with her, she bounces back and forth between seeming really confident and like, oh yeah, I don't care what other people think, and then very quickly being like, did that sound like really needy? Did that sound really stupid? Which I think is just a really great representation of how high school students feel. You're constantly feeling like you need to perform for your peers, and you want everyone to like you, but at the same time you're trying to figure out who you are as a person. And I think all of the students that are represented in this game have that depth really associated with them. Also, the mini subplots of drama that I mentioned in the plot section, they add a whole nother level of character to all of the characters in this game. It makes them feel so extremely relatable and so extremely realistic that it makes this entire cast of characters feel really well done. I don't really have complaints with any of the characters. I think they're all memorable. I think they all fit nicely together, but they're all different enough to make it interesting. So I'm very, very impressed with the cast of characters in this game, which means that I give characters a 10 out of 10. Next, we move on to setting and design. So this game takes place in upstate New York at an all-girls boarding school called Waverly Academy. It takes place in late fall, so the leaves have fallen off the trees, and as the game progresses, you start on a day when it's just like a cold, windy, chilly fall day, and then the second day, snow starts to fall, and it's very gentle. And then on the third day, snow starts to just come down, and not quite a blizzard, but it's very thick snow. The fact that they have the changing weather on each day makes the setting feel really vibrant and alive. It doesn't feel like a static setting, even though Nancy is in one enclosed location. The setting really does come to life because of those weather changes. The fact that the game also takes place at that time of year, that late fall kind of transition period, it feels very mysterious. There's something in the air and in nature at that time of year that just brings all of the anticipation out into the world. And I think it's absolutely stunning because this game is not a terribly scary game, but the setting itself gives the game a great feeling of suspense and anticipation without making you feel scared. It just makes you feel excited. There's almost a little bit of adrenaline just based on the fact that they designed the entire setting so well. Waverly Academy itself, and Ramsey Hall specifically, where Nancy stays, is an absolutely gorgeous location. The dorm rooms that each of the girls stay in is unique to the students that are staying there, which I love. Each one is designed and truly does feel like a dorm room. When you walk around Ramsey Hall, you can see the hallways, you can see pictures on the walls. There's this little student lounge with a little snack shop. It just feels so real. It feels like an actual school location. It feels I liken it to college because not everyone stays in dorms when they go to high school. That's more of a boarding school type thing. But if you compare it to the college feel as well, it just does feel very residential. It feels homey, but still absolutely beautiful. The library in Ramsey Hall is stunning. The only problem I have is that I wish we could explore it more because it's so absolutely beautiful. The entrance hall to Ramsey Hall is gorgeous. Outside is absolutely beautiful. The design of this game is done so well in that we have this one enclosed location and we get to explore nearly every bit of that location, which makes the game feel very full. I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything because of the setting and design. Plus, the setting itself really marries with the plot of the game and makes it feel especially detailed and whole. So I love the setting of this game, and I give setting and design a score of 10 out of 10. Next, we move on to entertainment and gameplay value. This game is incredibly fun to play, and it's extremely fun to replay. This is, I think, my most reliable game. This is one that I can always play, and you don't need to be in a specific mood for it. It's always fun, at least for me, and I'll discuss this a little bit later in my summary, but it's never a slog. There's always something fun to do. Even if you get stuck in the game and you're not sure what to do next, you can go play a game with Leela, or you can go to the snack shop, or you can go around and check in with all of the characters in their rooms and see if any of them will talk to you, or maybe there's some new drama. Every once in a while you'll get a new text from the Waverly text system, and then a new drama story will pop up. So it feels like the game has this very nice progression. Even if you do get stuck, there's always something happening that you can kind of explore a little bit more. And because the area of the game isn't massive, it's not a huge location, but it's not small either. It's got this very nice middle ground in size. It's really easy to kind of feel like you fully explored the area and go look at other locations if you feel like you aren't sure what to do next. I think that in itself makes the game very fun. And also the tasks that Nancy completes within the game are quite fun. It's not a super puzzle heavy game. There are puzzles involved, and a few times this involves Nancy doing homework for some of the other students. Now, normally this would feel kind of like, oh, why am I doing chores? This doesn't feel related to the game, but it actually kind of does in a way, because when when anyone is in school, you would help your friends with homework. That's kind of what you do. So the fact that these students are especially taking advantage of Nancy, and they make it very obvious that they're taking advantage of her, they're like, how bad do you want this thing? If you want it, you're going to have to help me with my homework. And that could feel contrived, but it really doesn't, because it feels very natural given the high school experience. The puzzles are not terribly difficult. Some of them have challenging aspects, but they aren't anything that can't be solved with a little bit of hard work. And I think the puzzles overall are very, very fun. This is a great fun game to play. It's not too heavy, it's not too dark, it's not too light, it's not too easy. I think it's a great balanced game. So I give entertainment and gameplay value a 10 out of 10. Finally, we move on to music and vibe, which considers the music of the game and how well it kind of supports the overall atmosphere of the game. I absolutely love the music and the entire atmosphere of this game. This is a game that you can play for some nice, subtle suspense. It's nothing, there's not going to be anything that will like quote unquote jump scare you. There's nothing that's going to really freak you out, but there are things that will make you feel maybe a little bit unsettled, and not in a scary way, but in a very mysterious way. And the fact that we're playing mystery games and we want these to feel like mysteries, I think that's incredibly important. The fact that this atmosphere still feels light and gentle, but also mysterious is excellent, and I think that they achieve that balance with the vibe extremely well. One of the main ways that this is accomplished is with the music of the game. There are several tracks in this game that I could listen to all day long. They have this kind of light, bouncy feel at times, and then they slip into this kind of more smooth and kind of subtle and like exploration kind of feel. And then you have the cello music. Mel, one of the students, plays cello, and when you're walking around the halls, you're hearing this Beethoven cello music play. And I think that's perfect because it adds to the overall atmosphere of the game. You know that that's Mel that's playing that cello, so it feels so much more real that these students are actually interacting with their environment and becoming a part of it. They aren't just sitting there being static or doing something, they are directly affecting the overall atmosphere of the game. They do that with their actions as well. When they feel tense with one another, the tension of the game rises as well. So it just feels very natural, very authentic, which I absolutely love. So I give music and vibe another 10 out of 10. If you've been paying attention to all of these scores, we now have our total. We have 10 for plot, 10 for characters, 10 for setting and design, 10 for entertainment and gameplay value, and 10 for music and vibe, which gives us 50 out of 50 and an A grade, and our first perfect score for the Nancy Drew game series. Now, this game I obviously consider to be amazing. I gave it 10 out of 10 in all of the categories. I think this is an absolutely stunning game. I need to recognize that part of the reason I feel that way is because this game has an especially nostalgic and relatable feeling for me as a player. I am obviously female. My teenage years are not that far away. I'm not that far removed from them. I'm in my 20s. But I think the fact that I can relate so easily to this game, and the fact that I could pretend that my life could be so interesting that even if I'm in my senior year of high school, that I could solve this mystery or feel this suspense, that life could really be that intriguing. I think that's what makes this game so incredibly effective, is that it is so relatable. Her Interactive's fan base is largely female. There are, of course, guys that play these games as well, and I honestly think that more guys should play these games. But the intent of these games really is to get girls into playing video games and to be interested in technology and science and all of that sort of things. And their original slogan was for girls who aren't afraid of a mouse. So the fact that this game tailors so specifically to the experience of girls in high school, I think is absolutely brilliant, because it immediately means that a large majority of the Nancy Drew game fan base is going to have a personal connection to this game. You can really see yourself in these characters, and you can see yourself at Ramsey Hall at Waverly Academy, which means that you can see yourself actually solving a mystery. I think it makes me feel very happy, and it makes me feel very confident, which is part of the reason that overall I feel that this game is so effective and deserves a perfect score. Now, it might not deserve a perfect score from somebody who doesn't have that personal connection to the game. I recognize that not all detectives are going to have that personal connection, but even when I try to take my bias completely out of the question, I still think that this game succeeds in really all of the areas. The plot really is excellent, the cast of characters is dynamic and fun, the setting is absolutely beautiful, and it adapts and changes throughout the mystery. The puzzles are not too hard nor too easy. The music and vibe has this really great atmosphere throughout the game of suspense and excitement, but still being kind of relaxing in a way. So even when I take out my personal bias of high school girl, or used to be high school girl, this game just succeeds in so many different ways. Would I recommend this game to detectives? Absolutely. This is the first game that I recommend to anyone who's like, what game should I play if I've never played Nancy Drew games before? Warnings at Waverly Academy is such an amazing game, and I absolutely love it. It is my personal favorite game, so I do recognize that there is some bias in this review, but again, trying to remove that bias, I still think it is very successful as a computer game and as a mystery. So yes, I absolutely recommend this game. Thank you so much for watching this review, fellow detectives. I do hope you enjoyed it. Please feel free to subscribe if you're interested in seeing more reviews and walkthroughs, and also my Sims 4 Let's Play with Nancy Drew characters. I really enjoy making this content for you, and I do hope that you enjoy it as well. Thank you so much for watching, fellow detectives. I will see you soon.